Irish portion of the presentation will be first. Duffy, My Little Corner of the World, the 1986 String Band Division has started.
Nice to see you. Happy New Year, Ralph. Brought up the rear. They were 20.
City String Band brought to you in stereo by Channel 10. The theme of this group is Mummers Potpourri. Potpourri, I should say.
And the captain is Jim DeFalco. Jim works at the Sands Casino in Atlantic City, New Jersey. This is his second appearance as captain of the Atlantic City String Band.
Up from Summers Point, New Jersey. I want to congratulate you, Deborah. So far, you said 1986 every single time.
I have to make a big note to myself, so I don't say 85.
Oh, yes. Atlantic City last year brought up the rear. They were 26th in the finish. You know they worked hard to get out of that cellar position.
And today's performance, they're going to present their own version of a Mummers Parade, complete with the wenches and clowns for the comics, a fancy division frame suit, and of course, traditional string band division finery. The drill director is Tom Murata and John Rogers. Music directors Dave Landis and John Gary.
And the captain will be joined by his 6-year-old son, Joe, who's marching with Dad once again this year. And Atlantic City's costumes were made by a casino designer.
This year's performance is dedicated to President Frank Pesch, and we'll see him a little later.
String Band, Mummers, Potpourri, and now let's take a look at this all over again for just an instant.
And here is President Frank Pesch. Congratulations, Frank, on having this year's performance dedicated just to you.
And we are joined here at Channel 10 by Jim Donio, our expert and a a string band member himself, marching with the Heckman String Band for years. And we will be section of the Mummers Parade, but before we get to the Woodland String Band, we're going to go live to Mayor Good. He is joined by Larry Kane. Mayor Good marched up Broad Street today ahead of the string bands. Larry?
Okay, Deborah. Mayor.
The string band's number 3 of 27. Last year, Woodland finished in 18th spot, I'm sorry, with a theme of monkey business. This year, it's Give It That Old College Try. And look, they got on skimmers. I think that's what those straw hats are called, aren't they? Skimmers?
The drill director is Bill Happen, I think so, Herb. Music director is Tom Donahue, and making his debut as marching captain of Woodland is Bob Cunningham.
Woodland is fantastic this year. I didn't see them an 18th finish this year.
And
that
in case you were wondering about those authentic-looking worn leather football helmets that they were wearing, they should look worn. They're almost 40 years old. They saw some gridiron action way back when.
Now, Woodland had a great year. Thank you, Woodland.
Lots and lots of fun there today.
They really gave it that old college try, something really different. Here's Captain.
Okay, and as we say goodbye to the Woodland String Band, we're also saying goodbye back, everyone, to the 1986 Mummers Parade. Alan Frio joins us. Happy New Year,
Happy
Alan.
New Year to you, Deborah, and to you, Jim, and Happy New Year to all of our viewers. Third time I'm back. We have some leftover Woodland String Band banners here, but it's a great parade so
It is.
far.
We've been having great fun.
Here's the Greater Kensington String Band. Their theme is Hobo Ball. Captain is Bob Dix, drill director Joe Lippincott, music director Joe Gardino.
And they have some real trash in this act. Hobo Ball.
And Deborah said earlier that was real trash. Well, take a look. Those were also real metal trash can lids on their feet. When I asked drill director Joe Lippincott what it was like choreographing and teaching the members to do it, about how difficult it was, he said, would you like to try it?
No, thank you. We've got a lot more string bands for you. Don't touch that dial, Channel 10, and the Mummers Parade will be right back.
It's the Nissan dealers.
Everybody to the Aqua String Band and take a look at that makeup. They started applying that at 4 this morning.
Aqua's theme this year is Aqua's Land of Enchantment. The captain is Al Primavera Jr., drill director Marty Scanlon, music director George Greenlee, and it's a fantasy theme, Alan, that they've got this year.
Well, you know, Jim, what amazes me about the string bands, all of the presentations appear to take on a sort of a mini Broadway musical of sorts.
Almost
Really
like that.
fancy.
Almost like that. This is a fantasy with leprechauns and dragons and fairies and elves and lots more from Aqua, the Land of Enchantment.
Aqua String Band, Aqua's Aqua's land of enchantment, and that makeup was fantastic. The elves and that ogre, spectacular.
Now let's take another look back at some of Aqua's scenery and props. You know, Ellen and Deborah, bands are not just dancing now. Look at some of the scenery and props, the lengths they'll go to create the appropriate setting, the appropriate mood for their performance.
And we will be right back as we continue to fill Center City and the whole Lehigh and Delaware valleys with the sounds of the Mummers String Band. Stay with us.
A Caribbean holiday, and it's cold outside, and wouldn't it be nice to be in the Caribbean, Jim?
Well, there's a party going on in the streets of this far-off Caribbean island, and Juniata Park whisks us away from the cold Philadelphia winter to enjoy calypso music and dancing with Captain Don McGrogan, drill director Bob Cosgrove, music director Rip McDonald.
Who comes in next? Hello? Hey, Mitch?
And dance.
Yeah, some bright, colorful costumes out there. Let's take a little reprise of their performance. And you know, when your budget doesn't permit purchasing real steel drums, you improvise. So Juniata Park's Rip McDonald was instrumental in creating these lookalikes.
Yeah, that looks great. And this has been great fun. I've had a delight.
At City Hall area, I'm Alan Frio along with Larry Kane.
Good to see you again. It's
Good
great to
see
be
you.
here. What
You've
a
been
beautiful day.
Well, you've been here since 8:25 this morning. The crowds have been constantly building up, and it is quite a parade.
We
Welcome
took
back.
a ride earlier today to Broad and Locust in that area, and it's so thick and so big and so young. Look at that face, waiting right now for the Garden State String Band.
And Garden State's theme this year is a look at string bands yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Making his debut as captain, Frank Anello. Drill director is Dan Spencer. And guess what? The music director is also Frank Anello. He's doing double duty this year for the band.
And he's got to feel good. This is his first year as captain after more than 25 years with Garden State. What a moment for him, and here it goes. Garden State String Band for 1986. State String Band for 1986. Yesterday, today, and tomorrow.
Yes, and we saw making his debut Captain Frank Anello, and there's a little vision there of Garden State's impression of what string bands will look like in the future. And they also played an original composition that Frank co-authored during that performance.
By the way, Frank's father, Robert, was one of the founding members of the Garden State String Band.
And we'll be back with more. In fact, we'll be back with Greater Overbrook after this timeout as Channel 10 continues its live coverage of the string bands of the 1986 Mummers Parade.
I'm Revelry. They're raring to go.
Jim?
Once upon a time, there was a ragdoll celebration somewhere over the rainbow featuring Cabbage Kids, Raggedy Ann and Andy. This is a sort of a whimsical theme, sort of the mood of a Saturday morning cartoon from Greater Overbrook. The captain is Jim Dryden, drill director and choreographer James Conti, music director Charlie McWilliams, and very special this year, president of the band Joe Venuto has made it into the Mummers Hall of Fame. Congratulations.
a finish.
Those ragdolls are hot, I'll tell
A
you.
spectacular finish, and I got to tell you, the crowd is hot. Greater Overbrook String Band, Ragtime Revelry.
And here's a look at Captain Jim Dryden's makeup coming up right now. Here's a replay of Jim Dryden's makeup. He had a mask made by professional makeup artists, and I tell you, you would never know that it was him.
You know, Larry, you were mentioning earlier, there's a chill out here, but this crowd is so enthusiastic.
The greatest crowd I've seen at Mummers Parades. We'll be back with more live coverage of the string bands of the 1986 Mummers Parade on Channel 10 next. Murray in second place, Purell. Hammond third, the Good Timers fourth, Landy fifth, and the one-time champion now down in sixth place, Liberty Clown. So Murray wins it for the comics. And those are the comic results here as we await the next band. Here are the comic captains. The first prize winner, Henny Schultz. Second, Murray. Guy Smith in second place of Purell. Tom Sammartano of Hammond. In fourth place, Ed Tutka of the Good Timers. And that's great for the Good Timers in their second year. In fifth place, Dennis Tirico of Landy. And in sixth place, John Tamalos of Liberty Clowns. The big upset right now is the fact that Murray has won the comics for 1986. Joe?
And here we are with the Greater Bucks County String Band, and we're going to be seeing Betty Walter. She's a frontline banjo player in the band, and she's made all the costumes this year for the group, and we're very proud of her. Here she is. Here's Betty. We're very proud of her. She's made all the costumes along with the Women's Auxiliary for Greater Bucks County this year.
Can you imagine what a moment this is for her right now? I mean,
especially to play in the band as well as having made them.
The stomach churning, the excitement, all the work of the year, Alan.
Yeah,
and the theme is a comic strip review. The captain is George Young, drill director Jay Walter, music director is John Davis.
Greater Bucks County String Band for 1986 in Philadelphia.
From Bristol, PA.
The Greater Bucks String Band 24th prize last year, Jim.
You know, they say the Mummers, the string bands, are family organizations. Coming up in a minute, we're going to see a young couple who met and married in the Greater Bucks County String Band. That should be coming up, Joanne and Steve Mulzette. And congratulations, Joanne and Steve are expecting their first child in June, marching side by side in the Greater Bucks County String Band.
String band players that play together, stay together.
As they say, you know, we saw them all in this presentation. Barney Google, Popeye the Sailor, Betty Boop, Little Orphan Annie, Little Abner, Captain America.
Okay, we'll be back with more in this 1986 Mummers Parade on Channel 10 as we visit Avalon next. The spectators, and they're gearing up again because the Avalon String Band is standing by.
Avalon's Mardi Gras review. By the way, the captain's costume, look how elaborate that is. $6,000. Talk about costly costumes,
It's
Jeff.
amazing. The captain is Joe Lippy. The drill director is Joe Quattrochi. Music director is Don Morrissey. It's a traditional New Orleans Mardi Gras theme with parades, clowns, masquerades, and all that good stuff down south.
Avalon String Band. More and more You see the choreography of Broadway style on Broad Street, and we see it in the Avalon String Band.
What an elaborate presentation.
And what a departure. How about that?
You know, I covered a Mardi Gras back in 1976, and this presentation very reminiscent of the Mardi Gras.
Lots of bright colors, lots of turquoise, bright lime green, orange, and pink. And here's a replay of their performance. Avalon has been invited to the Mardi Gras in New Orleans this February. They're raising money for that. They've been invited by 3 groups, the Nefertiti, Bacchus, and Endymion.
And a cheer is going up here because number 1 from last year is heading up the street right now, Quaker City. And with Big Bob Shannon, the captain is Terry Ruggles. Terry?
I'm with the number 1 man of the number 1 group, and indeed he is big. Bob, good luck to you. Do you think you can do it 2 years in a row?
Oh, we would love to. We would really love to.
Now, how many parades have you been in?
This is my 25th anniversary, and I'm telling you right now, my knees are chattering right now.
A little nervous, huh?
You know it, always.
Okay, listen.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year to you. We'll be right back with the Quaker City String Band in stereo right after these words.
Moment here at the west side of City Hall because last year's number 1 is about ready to go, Jim Donio.
And their theme this year is Showtime in the Key of C. Notice the spelling S-E-A. It's an underwater fantasy. We have Bob Shannon Jr. as captain in his 15th year. Drill director Jim Muller. Music director Jim Fox Jr. Choreographer Dennis Quayle. This is going to be a wacky, wonderful undersea odyssey. A little bit of tongue-in-cheek humor here. Cartoons, outrageous.
The defending champion Quaker City String Band, a lot on the line today. Can they do it again, Jim?
Well, there was something fishy going on out there. We saw lots of different undersea creatures out there. Let's take another look at those tap dancing sardines that they had during their performance. It took a great deal of practice to perfect this routine, which they did with real flippers on their feet. Quaker City, showtime in the key of C.
And with Captain Bob Shannon Jr., you know what I'm noticing? The choreography is getting more and more intricate every year with every passing year.
More sophisticated, more exciting. We got more excitement as we continue our live coverage of the 1986 Mummers Parade right here on Channel 10.
A title this year's Instruments on Parade. By the way, this year's performance dedicated to George Wichterman, Crean's drill director. He's been a mummer for 30 years. Congratulations, George.
The
Jim?
captain of Crean is Joe Burke, Alan. The music director is Marianne Buckholtz. She's only the second female music director in string band history. She's been with Crean for 2 years. She plays an accordion in the band.
And here we go with Instruments on Parade in the 1986 Mummers Parade. Dick Crean String Band. What a job they did today.
Terrific. And as Crean marches home to the Bridesburg section of Philadelphia, let's take a look at their fur Busbies. You know, here's a classic case of Yankee ingenuity. When the price for professionally made Busbies proved a little too rich for their taste at $58 a piece, Crean's costume experts made them for a modest $2.38.
Jim, where do you know so much? You know so much about the string band.
I've just visited all these bands and collected all these little figures, and
we'll be back. I'm Larry Kane along with Alan Frio and Jim Donio as we continue our live exclusive coverage in stereo with the young people and all the viewers of the 1986 Mummers Parade right here on Channel 10 in Philadelphia.
The 1980s.
Airplanes, biplanes, flying balloons. The drill director is Lorraine Spazial, assisted by Joe McDowell. The music director, Joe Gallo.
Ukrainian American. Here we go.
little bit of aviation history there from the Ukrainian-American string band. The crowd loved it, as you can hear.
They really loved it.
John
Captain John Thompson, Abington Township Police Department.
And let's say hats off to 82-year-old John Dollick, a violinist in the band, who might be the oldest marching mummer today, and also to John Baralick on his 40th anniversary in the band. Here's another replay of their performance some female aviators out there doing some fine, fancy footwork for the magnificent men in their flying machines from Ukrainian American String Band.
And that was really a crowd pleaser. And coming up next, the South Jersey String Band will return with more live coverage of the 86 Mummers Parade, the ever-popular String Band division, next in stereo, live on Channel 10. The cheeks of a very young Mummers conductor at the 1986 parade. Does she look great?
Yeah, she does. You like to go back to nature? You want to go back to log cabins?
And you want to go back to bears? Because we got it for you tonight.
South Jersey String Band.
The theme of the band is Thank God I'm a Country Bear. The captain is John Rogers. Drill director is Ali Geiser. Music director is Brian Saunders. This is going to be a very unusual theme. The entire band is dressed as bears.
Look at those faces. Here they are, South Jersey String Band for 1986. Captain John Rogers leads the South Jersey String Band off Thank God I'm a country bear, a real country bear jamboree in Philadelphia tonight.
Yogi Bear certainly would have been proud of this one.
Well, South Jersey had a lot of help with their support with their costumes this year. They made them all themselves. Special efforts of the students at the Burlington County Special Services in Mount Holly, New Jersey. They sewed the group's vests, and they did a terrific job this year.
And the colors were outstanding. Bright red, blue, green with touches of patchwork.
And coming up next, we travel from South Jersey uptown. The Uptown String Band next on Channel 10's live coverage of the 86 Mummers Parade. The string bands, Alan.
With the Uptown String Band from the Olney section of Philadelphia, and their theme, Fireworks of Dancing Feet, with Captain Dan Hoban.
And the drill director is Len Jacobetti. The music director is Wayne Lepp. We're going to see a cavalcade of American dance in this presentation today.
Dan Hoban, he's been a member of Uptown for 11 years, 3 as captain. When he's not strutting his stuff, he's an employee of the Philadelphia Gas Works, resides in Roxborough, representing the Olney section of Philadelphia, the Uptown String Band.
We've got a burst of red, white, and blue trimmed in shocking pink and silver sequins. Right on the screen there, the accordion player is Cliff Johnson. He has been inducted into the Mummers Hall of Fame this year. He's the band's president, and he's very excited about that this year. That's him right on the screen.
Uptown String Band for 1986, live at the Mummers Parade. Here they are. could have danced all night. The Uptown String Band for 86.
Fireworks of dancing feet.
Looks like they created a little fireworks out there today with their soft shoe and their hoofing out there and their Charleston. Let's take a look back. Alan and Larry, this derby that they use in their routine is 7 feet by 8 feet. Each one of them weighed 70 pounds for the guy that was doing a little fancy footwork underneath of it.
A lot of work, and everybody loves a clown. And coming up next, the Wildwood String Band with a wonderful world of clowns. Live on our continuous coverage of the 1986 Mummers Parade with a big crowd in Center City, Philadelphia. Happy New Year, everybody.
Wonderful world of clowns, and they're paying tribute to some of the world's most popular clowns in entertainment history. Of course, Emmett Kelly, Bozo the Clown, Clarabelle, and it should be quite a show.
Bozo is my favorite.
You like Bozo?
Always.
Everybody's favorite.
The captain's Frank Inverso. The drill director is Wayne Lord.
Wildwood String Band. They have their own television camera in there. Did you see that?
I saw it out there, Larry. What would any clown theme be without Mummers clowns in there? Let's take a look back, at Wildwood's presentation. Bands prepare for themes in many ways, and Wildwood conducted a clown college and school of buffoonery for several months prior to the parade to prepare its members in the art of clowning.
Well, speaking of preparation, Furco String Band is always prepared. And Terry Ruggles is standing by with the captain of Furco right now. They're coming up next. Terry?
Terry, as soon as you said something, the wind kicked up. I'm with Bill Spezial. Now, this man is no novice to show business. Bill's been on national television as a dancer before. Bill, what are we going to see tonight? Something a little different?
Yes, our theme is Mime Time. And we have a little bit of the traditional mimes as Marceau. And then a lot of the contemporary stuff, such as Shields and Yarnell. A lot of excitement, a lot of happy tunes, and we're excited over it.
Are you nervous at all?
Oh, sure I'm nervous. My heart's going a mile a minute. Sure I'm nervous.
Okay, we'll see them in a couple minutes, Lair. So Bill Spezial and Furco are just around the corner, Lair.
We'll stand by for Furco, and right now we'll say goodbye briefly to Alan Frio.
I'll be back in a couple of hours. Sitting in this seat will be Sherry Bank in just a few minutes.
Sherry joins us next.
Okay, we'll see you in a few hours.
See you soon. It's been fun. It's going to still be fun. Coming up next as we continue our live coverage with the Furco String Band here at the 1986 Mummers Parade, and the crowd is going crazy. Look at the crowd. Hall, and with us right now is Sherry Bank. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Larry.
Great to be here, isn't it?
It's wonderful, Larry. I've been watching the parade all day long and thinking about what people in other cities are doing. They may be doing boring things or nursing a hangover. And look, at Philadelphia is giving itself a grand party. It's wonderful to be here.
It's been spectacular. And coming up right now, Sherry, is the Furco String Band.
The winningest band on Broad Street, right?
That's right, and Furco's theme this year is Mime Time. We just saw Captain Bill Spezial. He's also doing double duty as drill director this year. The music director is Bill Stieber. And celebrating their 60th anniversary this year is Duke Bonpastor, and their golden anniversaries are Jim King and former music director Curly Connors.
The always competitive, always exciting and dramatic Furco String Band for 1986, led by Captain Bill Spezial. They always have a surprise, don't they?
Right, and the mime troupe is going to dazzle the audience with dramatic expressions of mime, combining classical forms with more contemporary forms.
from the Furco String Band for 1986.
And we have some awfully talented people here in Philadelphia. They did a great job, don't you think, Jim?
I think so. I think Marcel Marceau would be proud. Take another look back at some of their routines. Furco used the talents of mime consultant Bill Metler to help the band members master this unique performing art, which is something really different for string bands this year.
Furco String Band for 1986. We'll be back with more live coverage of the 1986 Mummers Parade, live and in stereo for the first.
This band is from Youmville, PA. The drill director is Don Bader. Music director is Jeff McTuff. And the research for this year's theme came while they watched the classic 1923 silent film starring Douglas Fairbanks.
Douglas Fairbanks would have been proud. The mark of Zorro on the streets of Philadelphia. Here they go. Harrogate for 1986. have to call this a spectacular performance from the Harrogate String Band for 1986, Sherry.
Absolutely, Larry. You know, those are real sabers that were used in the fight sequences. For safety's sake, they weren't quite as sharp as they should have been, but those people did take fencing lessons from the Pennsylvania Academy of Fencing in New Hope.
I'm glad they did.
Here's another look at that, what Sherry was just talking about. In addition to choreography, they had to learn how to sword fight. A little danger out there in the string bands this year.
Very well choreographed on the part of the Harrogate String Band. And we'll be back with more. In fact, we'll be back with the Durning String Band as we continue our live coverage of what thousands of people are seeing in person here in Center City, Philadelphia, some using some unusual seats to do it. Day, gorgeous night. I'm Larry Kane with Sherry Bank and Jim Donio, and this is the 1986 Mummers Parade, and the Durning String Band is coming up.
And they're going to show us classic clown capers with Captain Jack He Jr., his 7th year as captain. His grandfather, Jim Durning, was the band's founder. Now we're going to see some clown shenanigans. We're going to see Jack in the Boxes, and even the Three Stooges reunited for the Curly Shuffle.
The drill director is John Aurelio Sr., music director is Anthony D'Amore, and congratulations to Al Stewart, an original member of the Durning String Band from 1936, who was recently elected to the Old Timers Hall of Fame.
So we're ready now in the 1986 Mummers Parade, live on the west side of City Hall in Philadelphia for the Durning String Band, 1986 edition.
with the Three Stooges, Larry, Moe, and Curly. Had to love that. Some beautiful costumes and dancing, too.
Yeah, how about those Three Stooges lookalikes? See what a little makeup can do. See those Jack-in-the-Boxes popping up. Lots of surprises from those classic clown capers and Durning from 1986.
And there's one of our young Mummers fans here at the 1985 parade with her mom. We're going to say Happy New Year next to Mr. Steve Levy. I'm going to take a break. I'll be back later along with Alan. Coming up next, Steve joins Sherry and Jim here as we continue our string band coverage of the 1986 Mummers Parade in stereo for the first time ever here on Channel 10. We'll be back in a moment.
You've never seen more TVs, appliances.
Right now, this is Steve Levy along with Jim Donio and my partner Sherry Bank, and you've heard it before, but let me take the opportunity because this is my first chance to wish you a Happy New Year, and it's hard to believe that 12 months have gone by since last we did this.
Absolutely. We're back to, what do you call it, the greatest party ever.
This is the greatest party I've ever been to. Every year, year after year, and it just gets better, and I mean it, and it gets better every year. What's next for us, Sherry?
Well, next, Steve, we have the Polish-American String Band, another one of the favorites of Broad Street and one of the winningest groups in the string band division. We have Captain Ray Daniel Levitch, who does the High-Tech and Robot Rambo. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that, Jim?
Yeah, Ray will be Dr. High-Tech and lead the Robot Ramble. The drill director is Danny Marikowski. Music director is Steve Bujnowski, making his debut. This is sort of a computerized theme. We're going to see robots out there doing all kinds of wacky and crazy things and lots of dancing, and I think we're promised a computer also in this presentation.
That's right. A group of strictly controlled robots suddenly breaks free from their master, and we find out what happens. A little jamming and a little losing their heads. A lot of craziness going on out there.
The Polish American is from the Richmond section of Philadelphia.
And here they come, the Polish American String Band.
All righty, the Polish-American String Band, and Jim, it is tough to believe that after all these years, the Mummers have entered the computer age.
Finally gone, jumped on the high-tech bandwagon. Get a load of this computer with a little warning signal flashing back and forth. It even has eyes. It's almost human.
We even saw some Transformers. Costumes changed right before our eyes. That's really with it.
Really popular trend.
All righty, Terry Ruggles is out there on the street as he's been all day, and right now he's got a special guest, Bill Bowen, the captain of Freilinger. Terry?
I do indeed, and you know, last year Freilinger almost made it 3 unprecedented first places in a row. Not quite, however. Bill, you're going to give it your best.
We certainly are. We're coming in there to win. You're going to see a show. I guarantee you that.
Now, let me ask you this. You're 21st or so. Any superstition as to where you placed as far as ordering the march?
In 1980, we marched 21st, and we came in first prize with the cowboy theme, and we think we're better now than we were then.
Okay.
We're ready to do it.
Okay, good luck to you. Bill Bowen, Freilinger String Band. They'll be back in stereo right after these words.
To you too, Deborah, and let's give some New Year's presents to some people. The fancy results are in, and first we have Golden Sunrise, as you can see on your screen. Second is Hog Island, third is Oregon, and fourth is Klein. Our congratulations to all of them, but of course Golden Sunrise has the biggest smile right now. The fancy captains: first, John Lucas; second, Bob Dix; third, Mark Ray; and fourth, Tom Knight. And we might mention Golden Sunrise is John Lucas, so that's a double-double for him, and our congratulations go out to them on this New Year's Day. It's a heck of a way to start their new year.
That's 4 in a row for them, too. 4 years in a row.
And these strings keep going on and on.
Not bad. And Steve, coming up next, the Freilinger String Band. This year's performance is dedicated to longtime band officer Felix Likarovic, who died suddenly in November. Felix's 2 sons are in the band now, and they dedicate this performance to him this year. And this year we're going to be doing Flickers from the Freilinger String Band. By the way, this band was the champion in this division in 3 of the past 6 years. That's really some record.
The captain, as we saw, is Bill Bowen Jr. The drill director is Mike Rayer. Music director is Herbie Smith. We're going to go back to the silent era when movies were movies. We're going to see a Western adventure with a stagecoach and villain, the Keystone Cops and the little tramp Charlie Chaplin. And the finale, the legendary Rudolph Valentino, the Sheik.
Well, let's see if Bill Bowen can make good on his promise to Terry Ruggles and all of us just a couple of moments ago. The Freilinger String Band and their presentation called Flickers. band and Flickers when movies were movies, and if we can judge anything by the crowd reaction around City Hall, that was a popular presentation, Jim.
That really was, and we're going back and taking a reprise of their presentation. We want to congratulate Captain Bill Bowen Jr., Drill Director Mike Rayer, Music Director Herbie Smith on their respective anniversaries. They've been contributing their talents to performances like this one for 20 years.
You know, Sherry, we might mention the fact that Bill Bowen there is a guy with a lot of stage presence. They were doing movies there, but he really had a lot of presence on his face and in all his movements.
Absolutely. A lot of energy and excitement there.
They have to act as well as play and dance now.
More playing and dancing in just a moment when we come right back on the New Year's edition for 1986 of the Mummers Parade.
The 1986 Mummers Parade is...
Welcome back, everyone, to the 1986 Mummers Parade. On your screen, the Palmyra String Band. Their theme this year is called Pizzazz, Jazz, and Razzmatazz, Sherry.
Hey, Steve, that's a catchy title. And we're going to see Palmyra offering us a colorful, exciting presentation with lots of lively music and dancing. We'll see some tap, a bit of jazz, and some real novel costuming effect. In fact, Captain Joel Schruel is going to do a drum solo. That's really something, Jim.
Yeah, and the drill director is Greg Lamanowitz. Music director is Brian Jaseko.
Now, Palmyra String Band won first place back in 1972, and I'm sure they want to do it again this year.
They hail from Berlin, New Jersey.
go, the Palmyra String Band with pizzazz, jazz, and razzmatazz, and it certainly did have all of that.
It certainly did, and this is the time of night that the parade seems to become even more magical when the lights hit all these glitter and glamour on the costumes, and some of these colors, the orange and purple, really spectacular, Jim.
Very, very much so, Sherry. Let's take another look back now to Captain Joe Schrull, his drum solo. I think we're going to be seeing that shortly.
Is that very unusual, Jim, to have a drum solo like that?
If my memory serves me correctly, Steve, I think that's the first in string band history for a captain to do a drum solo.
And not bad at all. He did a pretty good job.
Great Gene Krupa imitation there.
There is nothing imitation about the Mummers Parade, and you'll see more of the 1986 edition when Sherry and Jim and I come right back. Enjoy this Mummers Parade. Steve Levy, Sherry Bank, and Jim Donio. And Jim, there's a very special meaning to what's going to happen now with the Trilby String Band, isn't there?
Yes, there is, Steve. It's a particularly poignant moment for Captain Phil Pesky Sr. After 56 appearances in the Mummers Parade, 47 with Trilby, the captain is sidelined this year due to impending bypass surgery next month. His son, Phil Jr., is this year's marching co-captain. There's Phil Jr., and earlier we saw Phil Sr. walking in, and it's got to be mixed emotions for him. He's proud of his son, but it's a very sad time for him too, I'm sure.
Well, let's hope he's back full force next year, Jim and Steve. Now, Trilby is the oldest band on Broad Street, and tonight they're going to show us Visions of Oz. We'll actually see the best of the classic 1939 film, The Wizard of Oz, with Judy Garland, with the 70s Broadway musical hit, The Wiz. And we're told to look for Dorothy to have a split personality.
Uh-oh. Stand by. Here it comes.
The music director, Steve, is Lou Junta for the Trilby String Band this year.
Well, watch and listen to the Trilby String Band, Visions of Oz. Well, as Trilby goes off, I think that Phil Pesky Sr. can be pretty happy, win, lose, or draw, whatever happens with the performance by Phil Pesky Jr. and the rest of the members of Trilby.
And let's take a little look back there. Sherry mentioned that Dorothy was going to have a split personality. We see on the left the Dorothy from The Wiz, and on the right, the original Dorothy from The Wizard of Oz.
There was some great costuming and great colors in that performance. It looks wonderful here under the night skies by City Hall in Philadelphia.
All righty, we're going to be back with more coming up next on the 1986 edition of the Mummers Parade. You're going to see the Hegeman String Band when we come right back in just a moment. Here we are back around City Hall tonight on this first day of 1986. You're looking at the Hegeman String Band as they get ready to perform. And Jim, it's kind of a special event for the captain, huh?
Yeah, the captain is John Pignotti Jr. He's making his debut today as Hegeman's marching captain. At 25, he's the youngest captain in Hegeman String Band history. He joined Hegeman in 1970 at the age of 9 and has served as assistant music director, and drill director. He resides in Overbrook.
Now, Hegeman, as you know, is one of the oldest bands on Broad Street. They're celebrating their 66th anniversary this year, and here they go in Roar 20s Roar, the Hegeman String Band.
Drill director Perry DiMatteo in his debut, music director Walt Mowinski, the racy and raucous Roaring 20s with Hegeman.
righty. Yeah, they're clapping in the announce booth right here. The Hegeman String Band with Betty Boop, I might add.
That is some of the brightest costuming and most rousing music that we've heard so far. They just did a great job. Look at the flapper girls with the bright pink and turquoise and purple and bright orange. I haven't seen colors like this.
And let's take another look at Betty Boop. You know, she's become almost a cult figure today among today's young people. And we saw her featured prominently in Hegeman's nostalgic look at the 20s. There she is, Betty Boop. Let's also congratulate band president Pop Pignotti, who's marching after recent major surgery.
But he was out there strumming his banjo anyway.
I think it was a ukulele there, Steve.
All righty. Well, they all look the same to me.
Right.
Well, we'll see if we can figure out what instrument is what when we come right back on this year's edition of the Mummers Parade. Stay with us, everybody. A string band.
We're talking big. This is Captain Alex Stu Stewart portraying a caterpillar with a 15-foot train. Just adorable. And the theme this year for the South Philly String Band is the jitterbugs. We're going to see ladybugs, bumblebees, spiders, and ants all rocking and rolling and having a heck of a good time.
This is South Philly's 40th anniversary this year, and 5 current members remain from the original band: Sam Hamilton, Rab Carter, Harry Cage, Jim Moran Sr., and Gene Williams Sr. The drill director of the band is Ron Francesconi, presentation director Joe King, music director Jimmy Brown.
Well, let's hear what they have to offer for us on the first day of 1986. Ladies and gentlemen, the South Philadelphia String Band doing Jitterbugs.
Might want to note Captain Stu Stewart is a Philadelphia police officer who resides in Southwest Philadelphia.
Your television set is all right. There is a temporary disturbance in the sound portion of our transmission. We are working to correct the situation. Please stand by.
Isn't it? Great. Yeah. Terrific. I thought Hegeman was very good. Fralinger and the Zorro I thought came across well.
Oh, that's good. So, which was the mime? Fralinger?
Perko.
Perko, rather.
I think.
We're back now with the 1986 Mummers Parade. We apologize for the problems we've had in the audio portion of our broadcast, but we're back now and we have our problems repaired, and I'm sure you're glad. We're here now with the Northeast Philadelphia String Band, and they're about to present Jungle Ritual.
The captain is Harry Tasnick. We're seeing a close shot up of him right now. The drill director is John Jukas. The music director is Steve Hottinger.
After returning from battle with the neighborhood tribe, Northeast Philadelphia's warriors are preparing for an important ritual. The 4 youngest members of the tribe have earned the right to pass into manhood. And after the ceremony, the entire tribe celebrates. So here they are, the Northeast Philadelphia String Band in Jungle Ritual.
Philadelphia String Band celebrating the transition into manhood, which I'm hoping for someday. And,
Don't hold your breath, Steve.
well, we're having more technical problems, as you at home can tell. We're trying feverishly to clean them up, and we hope that when we come right back, it'll all be cleared up, and you'll be. Now we have the final string band in the lineup, the Peter A. Broomall String Band.
And they're performing pop, jazz, and swing with Captain Pete Broomall. Now, former Captain Jimmy Broomall underwent triple bypass surgery last February. He's not playing in the band today, but he's still out there cheering his group on, naturally, watching his band members in zoot suits, complete with baggy trousers, long jackets, and wide-brimmed hats. They look good coming on here. Jim?
The drill director is Bill Packer. The music director is John Forsman. And Broomall String Band, a lot of people think we say this every year. They're not from Broomall, PA. They're from National Park, New Jersey.
So let's listen to the 1986 presentation of the Peter A. Broomall String Band. Their theme is pop, jazz, and swing.
was the Peter A. Broomall String Band, and I'll tell you, this anchor booth where Steve, Jim, and I are sitting is pretty strong, but we have been tapping our feet so strong, I'm afraid it's going to knock over. What do you think, guys?
Every show has a finale. That was a rousing finale.
Sure was.
And since it was a finale, we want to take this opportunity to say, Jim Donio, thanks very much once again for being with us. Happy